what's going on? I want to do a quick, highly animated response, like a good internet conspiracy theorist. I'm not really that. No, but this is a little away from the stuff I normally talk about: philosophy, politics, fitness. There's allegations coming out of Bristol, I think, and it's Liverpool, and what's it called? In Germany. So there are spy allegations that a passenger associated with a foreign government, and for some reason they have evidence or believe that it's someone from it's a state-sponsored person from Russia, either someone working colluding with someone from Russia, and they put a package on a passenger plane, and two packages actually they started a fire in DHL warehouses. So yeah, and so these are like sort of animated responses. Like if you're in the West, you can see this kind of stuff and say like, well, there's not a lot you can do with that, because the first thing you should see is a type of attack when you see something like this is that there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these types of whatever, and irregardless of what you put in a package and what goes onto a plane, this is a type of attack that can always be carried out by an intelligence network. A single person can run like a group of operatives or whatever, or can kind of quickly spin up this type of thing. They can develop better systems to sort of mask identity and try and hide forensics. Sort of whoever's doing this kind of stuff. And so, again, the core thing is that like this type of stuff happens. It's small. It's not that it's not signaling strategy, but it's difficult to interpret these types of actions as necessarily strategic. And so I think the interpretation, if you're putting on sort of the Russian lens or something, is that you can look around the world and see that the West is broadly supporting Israel's campaigns in Gaza and Lebanon. They're perhaps preventing some sort of fair balance of how a negotiation should be, if that makes sense. And they're also continually arming Ukraine, which Russia sees as almost this failed project, or a project which should have never been. And it's something which in the present moment is causing risk. And so, if you're Vladimir Putin, or you're working in that government, you would say that like, well, this is the only sensible conversation that we can have. So you put something in a box and you ship it out. Yeah, and so this is sort of like a hegemonic response to this type of conflict. I think the main thing is like saying that, this type of sort of aggression, it's sort of like inviting, well, are we starting to integrate these smaller forms of aggression, like, and that might be just sort of the core thing that it's about. Maybe this is my neurodivergence or whatever it is that like takes me however long, 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the video to sort of understand that. And so, yeah, I think being able to work within these types of conflicts and saying like, well, okay, what's the actual operating rhythm for how the KGB or the CIA or the NSA or someone like that is willing to engage in this type of aggression. And the realist answer is, well, it's however long it takes. You know, I'm not sure what you want me to say to that. And, you know, obviously there's always going to be different tolerances, different interpretations at different times. But, you know, just again, you know, seeing something on The Guardian, it's not a good look when you see a published attack which was meant for civilians. And you can give everything else over to decision power and, you know, basically how we've done things for the last 30 years. But if you give it over and you don't like the answer you get, well, you gotta keep going, keep looking for something, whatever it is. And so, you know, I think there's this sort of tendency to almost drop these, drop conversations which could be diplomatic, which could be seen as more multilateral, in favor of microaggressions, because microaggressions in some sense are comprehensive, just a priori. What they are is they necessarily capture the position of the nation state and the strategy. What they don't do is they don't ever speak to microaggressions nor the existing terrain which makes conflict more likely. So, I mean, that last minute was maybe just a waste, but, you know, when you see it that way, well, you know, whatever, just put it in a box and ship it out, you know, all the way down, I guess. It's all turtles or something, you know. That bilateral independence as we start seeing, you know, I think there's you know, this is the last thing I'll say, is there's some sort of just intrinsic aspects of like almost natural design of social theory, political theory, of military history and theory, which just unfolds naturally in a society. But when you're not seeing all of those indicators working at once, or you're seeing them hyper-focusing on that excited, exacerbated, very animated motions, then, you know, like, it's just really difficult to believe that adaptive change is capable of happening. And so that's all the way true. And so, you know, yeah, you know, what are you actually, like, what are you solving? I don't know. That's it. I'm outside of it. That's the video.